Hi, I'm Max, and I'm going to be showing you how I make buttermilk blueberry pancakes. Here in front of me is kind of the spread of things you'll need to make these. Some vegetable oil, flour, whole wheat flour, buttermilk, obviously, and blueberries, some butter, salt, honey, vanilla extract, plain sugar, an egg, baking powder, baking soda, and some kind of liquid to kind of thin out the pancakes if you want. For this I've chosen apple cider. Let's start baking. Alright, so the first thing you want to do right away is melt the butter. Reason for that being, when you add it to the mixture later, you don't want it hot because it can then curdle the eggs, scramble the eggs, curdle the milk, that kind of stuff. So you gotta melt it right away so that it has time to cool down. Usually I do this in a saucepan, but just assume that melted butter off screen. First off, let's get some dry ingredients together, and for this I'm going to take, this is half a cup, so I'm going to take 1 cup white flour. That's sure. 1 cup white flour, and then half a cup of whole wheat flour. Well, next up we have, let's see, 1 teaspoon of baking soda, 1 teaspoon baking powder. Come on, that's good enough. And let's get 2 tablespoons white sugar. And then just a little sprinkle of salt. That's good. Alright. We have our dry ingredients. You can just kind of mix it up a little bit. Set it off to the side while we work on our wet ingredients. First thing about the wet ingredients is that if you don't have actual buttermilk, you can take some normal fat milk, like 2% whole milk, and put about a tablespoon of an acid, like lemon juice, vinegar. I'll use apple cider vinegar, and pour that in there, stir it up, let it sit for about 10 minutes. That would suffice. It's a little bit more liquidy though than actual buttermilk, so I'm using actual buttermilk. I have a cup and a third of buttermilk. So I'm going to take my egg, crack it in, stick this there, and whisk. Kind of whisk that if you want. Whisk it up. That's good. Sure. 1 tablespoon of vegetable oil. Get this big thing here. Oh, that's good. One tablespoon of honey, which hopefully, since I used the vegetable oil first, it won't stick to the measuring spoon. That's most. 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract. That. Now let's stir in our buttermilk. this up a bit. Now, once your butter's sufficiently cooled, I have about, 1.5 tablespoons of butter in here. Mix it in. Nice and mixed. Alright. Oh, that smells good. So, next up, I'm going to preheat my griddle because one of the things about butter, if you want the fluffiest buttermilk pancakes, one of the key things you need to do is don't add your liquid and solid ingredients together until the very end. Because as soon as you start adding them together, that baking soda, baking powder with the buttermilk, the acid in the buttermilk is going to start reacting and it's going to start forming bubbles. And if you mix that up too soon and too much, it's going to end up dissipating that carbon dioxide. You're not going to get enough fluff in your pancakes. So let's clear this off and we'll get the griddle up here. Alright, we're going to mix the wet and dried ingredients together now that the griddle is all warmed up, nice and warm. Just pour that liquid right into that dry ingredients and start folding it in with some kind of spatula or spoon. Just make sure you're gentle with it. You don't want to overmix it because overmixing it will dissipate the carbon dioxide bubbles you want to put in there. You probably need to thin out the batter a little bit with some kind of liquid. Here we're using our apple cider. And then just keep folding that in, gentle, until it's a smooth, creamy texture. You want it to be thick, but also still dripping. You can see it drips off of the spatula still. Still kind of a liquid, but thick enough where it'll stand up. So we're going to take our half-cup measuring spoon, get some batter in there, and pour it onto the griddle, like so. And just kind of circularly pour it out, spread it out kind of like a pizza sauce that way with the back of the spoon. And this is where I put my blueberries in. I do not put the blueberries into the batter. I put them in pancake as it's cooking. This way you can control where they are positioned, nice and even distribution, as well as later on you'll see it makes for a much better cooking presentation on the one side. Alright, you can kind of there's a couple bubbles appearing now. You can cheat a little bit by peeking over. Yeah, that looks good. And you just, it's a new griddle, so I don't know how to flip very well, but there you go. So here's the reason why you want your blueberries put into the batter afterwards. Because now you have this very nice looking even pancake. Blueberries cause the batter to cook at a different temperature. So by doing this, you at least establish a base layer of the batter that can cook at an even temperature, and it makes for a first pancake that looks great. When you flip it, since all the blueberries are on the bottom, it's going to take slightly longer to cook. So just keep that in mind. Alright, I can hear it sizzling, so it's probably ready to come off. I'm going to stick it in this cake holder to keep it nice and warm, and we'll start making some more. Now, I guess I can do more than one. Ooh, that was not good. That's okay. It's fine. And I will say, this is my first time using this griddle. And it's working out really nice. If you make pancakes on a regular basis like I do, I highly recommend getting something like this. Simply because with just a frying pan, a standard size frying pan, you spend so much time just cooking one pancake at a time. Because otherwise this recipe doesn't take very long. There's a thing on the British Bake Off show about listening to cakes, and you can hear the cake stop bubbling its tongue. It's almost the opposite with blueberry pancakes. Once they start sizzling, that's when you know the blueberries have started cooking, and they're at least done. This recipe makes about 6 to 7, depending on how big you want your pancakes. You'll probably have a lot of leftover blueberries. You can either just eat them like me, or turn them into some kind of compote. Both are good. Alright, and now we have a nice stack of fluffy buttermilk blueberry pancakes. I hope you liked watching this, maybe learned something. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, or ring the bell, or I don't know what kids do. Communism? Anyway, I'm Max. Goodbye.